Stop chasing success for applause and start building it for impact. Because the day you understand why you're running is the day you finally stop running in circles. Stop chasing success for applause and start building it for impact. Because the day you understand why you're running is the day you finally stop running in circles. We live in a world that glorifies speed, urgency, and constant motion. Every headline screams about overnight successes, viral sensations, and rapid growth. We are told to run faster, work harder, and push further than everyone around us, as if the one who moves the fastest automatically wins. But what if winning isn't about speed at all? What if it's about direction? Because if you are running in circles, even the fastest pace still leaves you stuck exactly where you began. What truly matters is not how quickly you move, but how deeply you understand the reason behind your movement. Your why is not just a slogan or a tagline. It is the foundation of your resilience, the root of your courage, and the anchor of your soul when storms hit and applause fades. Without it, success is hollow. With it, even the smallest progress feels purposeful. When you wake up in the morning, what pulls you out of bed? Is it the pressure to prove yourself? The fear of falling behind? Or is it something greater? Something that lights a fire in your chest and whispers, "This matters." If you want to stop feeling lost, stop chasing external validation and start seeking internal clarity. The people who truly change the world are not the ones obsessed with being seen. They are the ones obsessed with serving. They don't ask, "How can I win today?" They ask, "How can I make this count for someone else?" That shift from achievement to contribution changes everything. Because applause is temporary, but impact echoes long after you are gone. And if you live only for the noise of applause, you will always be a prisoner to the crowd. But if you live for purpose, you can stand in silence and still feel complete. We are surrounded by noise, metrics like rankings, competition. All of it creates an illusion that success is something to chase outside of ourselves. But the truth is, the most powerful leaders and thinkers in history were never chasing approval. They were following their cause. They were willing to be misunderstood, doubted, even ridiculed. Because they weren't chasing applause. They were building impact. They understood that progress is often quiet. Breakthroughs are often lonely. And real leadership is rarely glamorous in the moment. It is only celebrated in hindsight. You must be willing to walk through seasons where nobody claps for you and still keep walking. Because the people who make the greatest impact are the ones who choose consistency over recognition, integrity over popularity, and purpose over applause. You see, applause is addictive. It gives you a rush. It makes you feel seen. But if you start building your life around it, you become its slave. You shape your actions to earn it. You hide your truth to keep it. You abandon your vision to protect it. And in the process, you lose yourself. Purpose, on the other hand, is liberating. It doesn't demand that everyone approves. It only asks that you remain true. Purpose whispers to you when the crowd goes silent. It reminds you why you started when progress feels invisible. It steadies your hands when everything else shakes. And it keeps you grounded when success tries to make you arrogant. That's why understanding your why isn't optional. It's essential. Because without it, success will inflate your ego and failure will crush your spirit. But with it, neither success nor failure can define you. You are anchored in something deeper, something unshakable. So how do you find your why? You don't invent it. You uncover it. It's already within you. It's buried under the noise, the pressure, the comparisons, the fear. Start by asking what breaks your heart, what makes you come alive. What problem could you spend your life solving and still feel fulfilled even if nobody ever applauded? That is where your purpose lies. Your why is often born from your pain. It grows in the soil of your struggles. It reveals itself in the moments that tested you, because purpose is forged in fire. That's why your scars are not weaknesses. They are roadmaps. They point to where your deepest contribution can emerge. Don't hide them. Share them. Lead from them. Because people don't need perfect leaders. They need honest ones. People follow authenticity far more than authority. They don't want someone flawless. They want someone real. So be real. Be brave enough to live your truth, even if it's messy, even if it's misunderstood, even if it's lonely at first. The world needs that more than another polished mask. And when you find your why, everything shifts. Work stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like passion. Challenges stop looking like threats and start looking like opportunities to grow. Failure stops feeling like the end and starts feeling like feedback. Because your worth is no longer attached to outcomes. It's rooted in identity. And when your identity is grounded in purpose, you become unstoppable. The winds of criticism can't blow you off course. The storms of setbacks can't sink you. Because you are not driven by applause, you are driven by meaning. And meaning is stronger than fear. Meaning is stronger than doubt. Meaning is stronger than exhaustion. When you are fueled by meaning, you can walk through fire and still rise. Because you are no longer chasing success, you are embodying significance. The world doesn't need more people chasing trophies. It needs more people building legacies. It doesn't need louder voices. It needs truer ones. It doesn't need more competition. It needs more contribution. And that begins with you. It begins when you decide to stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give? It begins when you stop striving to be the best in the world and start striving to be the best for the world. Because greatness is not measured by how much you achieve. It is measured by how much you give. The leaders we remember are not the ones who took the most. They are the ones who gave the most. They were not obsessed with being first. They were committed to building something that would last. But lasting impact requires patience. It requires playing the long game, the infinite game. Most people chase the quick win. They want results now, recognition now, rewards now. But anything built quickly can crumble just as quickly. Real change is slow, intentional, and often invisible at first. Seeds grow underground long before they break through the soil. And if you give up before you see results, you'll never realize how close you were to something extraordinary. So stay. Stay when it's hard. Stay when it's quiet. Stay when nobody sees you. Because growth is happening even if it's not visible. And one day, what you built in silence will speak so loudly the world will have no choice but to listen. As you walk this path, understand that leadership is not about titles or positions. It's about responsibility. It's about showing up consistently for something greater than yourself. True leaders don't demand loyalty. They inspire it. They don't command respect. They earn it through service. They don't chase followers. They empower others to lead. That's the paradox of leadership. The less you make it about you, the more powerful your influence becomes. People don't follow you because of what you achieve. They follow you because of how you make them feel. They follow you because you believe in them, often before they believe in themselves. That's real leadership. That's real legacy. And yes, there will be times when you are tired, when doubt creeps in, when the temptation to quit whispers in your ear. In those moments, return to your why. Let it remind you that this is bigger than you, that someone out there is waiting for the impact only you can make, that your struggle is not wasted. It is preparing you to serve at a higher level. Remember that every great story has a chapter where the hero almost gives up. Don't let that chapter be your ending. Let it be your turning point, because resilience is not about never falling. It's about always rising. And when you rise with purpose, you rise stronger every time. You don't have to change the whole world. You just have to change someone's world. One act of courage, one word of hope, one decision to lead with love instead of fear. That's how revolutions begin, not with noise, but with quiet faithfulness. And if enough of us choose that, if enough of us stop chasing applause and start building for impact, the world will change. Not because we shouted the loudest, but because we loved the deepest. Not because we moved the fastest, but because we stood the strongest. Not because we won the race, but because we dared to run with purpose. So the next time you feel lost or pressured or unseen, pause, breathe. Remember why you started. You are not here to impress the world. You are here to serve it. And when you live like that, even if the applause never comes, you will know something far greater peace. Because purpose brings peace, and that peace will carry you farther than applause ever could. Your life is not meant to be a performance. It's meant to be a gift, so give it fully. Give it boldly. Give it without fear. And one day when you look back, you won't care how loud the applause was. You will be in awe of how deeply the impact reached. Hand introduction Joan 20, What if the secret to success isn't about working harder, but about thinking deeper? In a world obsessed with results, Simon Sinek challenges us to pause, to reconnect with our purpose, to serve others, and to ignite a vision bigger than ourselves. This message might just change how you see your entire life. What if the secret to success isn't about working harder, but about thinking deeper? In a world obsessed with results, Simon Sinek challenges us to pause, to reconnect with our purpose, to serve others, and to ignite a vision bigger than ourselves. This message might just change how you see your entire life, because somewhere along the way, we were taught that speed is success, that being busy is the same as being effective, that constant motion means progress. We fill our calendars, chase deadlines, and push ourselves to the edge, believing that the one who works the hardest wins. And yet, so many who run the fastest feel the emptiest. So many who climb the highest ladders discover they've been leaning on the wrong walls. We confuse effort with direction. But running harder doesn't matter if you're running in circles. What matters is knowing why you run at all. That is the missing piece. The deeper thinking, the internal clarity that transforms work into meaning, effort into impact, and ambition into legacy. Imagine for a moment if your life was not about chasing outcomes, but about pursuing something profound, something rooted in who you are rather than what you achieve. The world tells you to set goals, and goals are good, but purpose is greater. Goals are about finishing. Purpose is about becoming. Goals will push you, but purpose will pull you. One burns you out, the other fuels you endlessly. The truth is, hard work alone can take you only so far. There are countless people working brutally hard yet feeling stuck, unseen, unfulfilled. Because hard work without purpose feels like running on a treadmill, exhausting and stationary. But when you anchor your work in purpose, even the smallest steps move you closer to something meaningful. You no longer just chase success, you create significance. And significance lasts far longer than success ever will. This is what Simon Sinek means when he tells us to start with why. He's not saying work less. He's saying think deeper. He's saying peel back the layers of pressure and noise and uncover the heartbeat beneath your effort. Because when you know your why, you stop measuring your value by external applause and start living from internal conviction. You stop asking, how fast can I get there? And start asking, is this even where I want to go? And that question changes everything. It forces you to slow down long enough to align your actions with your values. It reminds you that achievement without alignment leads to emptiness, while alignment, even without applause, leads to peace. And peace is what most people are desperately searching for in the noise of their ambition. We've built a culture obsessed with outcomes. We reward speed, scale, visibility. But we rarely ask if the outcomes are worth achieving in the first place. We push young people to pick careers before they know who they are. We praise promotions even when they pull people away from their passions. We glorify hustle while quietly ignoring how many are burning out under the weight of it. And then we wonder why so many people feel lost even when they look successful. The reason is simple: results can impress you, but they can't fulfill you. Only purpose can do that. Only meaning can reach the deepest parts of you and say, this matters. And when something matters deeply, you find strength you never knew you had. You find patience to endure, resilience to rise, and joy even in the struggle. That is the power of thinking deeper. Thinking deeper means asking harder questions. It means pausing long enough to confront truths you might have been avoiding. It means daring to define success on your own terms rather than borrowing the world's definition. Because the world's version of success is shallow. It measures titles, followers, income, applause. But your soul measures impact, love, growth, contribution. You can achieve everything the world celebrates and still feel like something is missing if it doesn't align with who you are. That's why people who seem to have it all often confess they feel empty. They chased results and forgot to ask why. But when you build from your why, even small victories feel monumental. Even unseen effort feels valuable. Because you're not performing, you're contributing. You're not trying to impress, you're trying to serve. And service is where fulfillment lies. Service is not weakness, it's strength. It's the highest form of leadership. The greatest leaders are not those who demand attention. They are those who give it. They don't climb to be seen, they climb to lift others. They measure their success not by how high they rise, but by how many they bring with them. That's why Simon Sinek says leadership is not about being in charge, it's about taking care of those in your charge. That one shift from self to service can change your entire life, because it transforms every room you walk into. Instead of asking, what can I get from these people? You start asking, what can I give to these people? And when you give first, trust grows, loyalty grows, impact grows. You stop chasing influence and start earning it. And influence earned through service is the kind that lasts. But thinking deeper is hard in a world that worships speed. We are trained to react instantly, decide quickly, move constantly. Stillness feels uncomfortable. Reflection feels like wasted time. But stillness is where wisdom lies. Reflection is where clarity is born. Every major breakthrough in history began with someone daring to slow down, to think, to question what everyone else accepted. If you want to create something extraordinary, you must be willing to do what ordinary minds resist. Pause, step back, think deeply. Ask yourself, why does this matter? Who does this serve? What will this mean when the applause fades? Because one day, the applause will fade. And if applause is all you were chasing, you'll be left with nothing. But if you built something rooted in purpose, it will still stand long after the crowd goes home. Purpose-driven people are different. They are not easily shaken. They don't crumble when criticized. They don't quit when progress is slow. Because they are not chasing validation. They are chasing vision. Their fuel comes from within. That is why they can endure what others cannot. That is why they rise from failure while others stay down. They know that failure is not final, it is feedback. It refines them, but it does not define them. Their identity is not tied to their results. It's anchored in their purpose. And that anchoring makes them unshakable. You can doubt them, ignore them, even oppose them, and they will still keep moving. Not because they want to win against you, but because they refuse to betray the mission inside them. That is what thinking deeper does. It turns pressure into purpose and pain into power. This is not about choosing between success and purpose. It's about understanding that real success flows from purpose. Purpose is the root, success is the fruit. If you focus only on fruit, the tree withers. But if you nurture the roots, the fruit will come in its season. That's why you must shift your focus from short-term wins to long-term impact. Play the infinite game. The finite game is about beating others. The infinite game is about outlasting circumstances. The finite game ends when the clock runs out. The infinite game keeps going, carried forward by every person you've inspired. When you live with purpose, you stop competing and start contributing. You stop trying to win and start trying to build. And what you build will echo far beyond your lifetime. Thinking deeper also means redefining what matters. So many people sacrifice their health, relationships, and joy on the altar of achievement, believing they can always reclaim them later. But later is not promised, and the people you love don't need your trophies, they need your presence. The world doesn't need another burned out achiever. It needs a fully alive human. Success that costs your soul is not success. If achieving your dream destroys your peace, it's not a dream worth chasing. Thinking deeper forces you to weigh the true cost of your pursuits. It asks, will this still matter when I am gone? Will this add value to people's lives or just inflate my own ego? And when you answer honestly, you often realize the things you thought were urgent are not important, and the things you've been postponing, relationships, growth, joy, are the things that matter most. You don't need to abandon ambition to live with purpose. You need to align ambition with purpose. When they work together, ambition gives you drive and purpose gives you direction. Drive without direction burns out. Direction without drive stalls out. But when you marry the two, you become unstoppable. You no longer hustle to prove your worth. You work to express it. And that shift liberates you from the endless comparison that steals so much joy. Because comparison thrives when you chase results, but it dies when you chase purpose. There will always be someone faster, richer, louder. But no one else can live your purpose. No one else can offer what you uniquely carry. And the moment you realize that, you stop running other people's races and start walking your own path, steady, rooted, unafraid. Thinking deeper will make you stand out. It will also make you misunderstood. People might call you slow, unfocused, even naive for choosing purpose over pressure. But stay the course. Because while they sprint, you are building. While they chase attention, you are cultivating depth, and depth always outlasts noise. Shallow success fades quickly. Deep impact compounds quietly. One day, the same people who doubted you will be moved by what you've created. But even if they never are, it won't matter. Because you didn't do it for them. You did it because it mattered. You did it because it was right. You did it because something inside you knew this was your work to do. And that is enough. So pause, step back from the noise, take a breath and ask yourself, not what the world expects, not what will impress, but what will fulfill. What kind of life will make you proud when you look back from the end? What kind of work will you be glad you gave your energy to? What kind of impact will make you whisper, it was worth it? Those are the questions that matter. That's thinking deeper. And when you live from those answers, you stop chasing success, you embody it. You become the kind of person whose life speaks louder than your words, whose impact endures beyond your time, whose presence leaves people better simply because you showed up with purpose. That is the invitation Simon Sinek gives us to trade shallow ambition for meaningful contribution, to stop running faster and start running truer, to live not for applause, but for impact. Because when you live with purpose, you don't just change your career or your results, you change your entire life. And maybe, just maybe, you change the world. K.1, start with why everyone is 930. Every great leader and every world-changing idea begins with one thing, clarity of why. Without it, you're just pushing forward aimlessly. When you lead with your why, you give people a reason to believe, not just a reason to buy. Your why fuels you when results don't. It gives meaning to your struggle and turns obstacles into stepping stones. Start with why. Every great leader in every world-changing idea begins with one thing, clarity of why. Without it, you're just pushing forward aimlessly. When you lead with your why, you give people a reason to believe, not just a reason to buy. Your why fuels you when results don't. It gives meaning to your struggle and turns obstacles into stepping stones. The world is full of people running fast in the wrong direction, hustling endlessly, but never arriving anywhere that matters. They chase numbers, chase applause, chase validation, yet feel empty when they reach what they thought was the finish line. That's because they never asked the most fundamental question, why am I doing this? What is the purpose beneath the pressure? Without that clarity, success can become a trap. You climb a ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. You achieve goals that look impressive to others but feel hollow to you. And then you wonder why you feel lost, even though from the outside you look like you're winning. But when you start with why, everything changes. Your work stops being about proving your worth and starts being about expressing it. You no longer run to keep up. You run because something within you demands to be expressed in the world. Your why becomes your compass. It guides your decisions when the path isn't clear. It reminds you what matters when everything feels urgent. It pulls you forward when results are slow, when recognition is absent, when doubt is loud. It keeps you grounded when success tempts you to drift. With a clear why, you can endure seasons that would break others because your fuel comes from within, not from applause. And that inner fuel is what separates those who fade from those who last. The greatest leaders in history were not driven by titles or rewards. They were driven by cause. They were willing to risk comfort, reputation, even safety, because their why was bigger than their fear. They were not trying to be famous. They were trying to be faithful to the mission burning inside them. People followed them not because they were the loudest, but because they were the clearest. Clarity is magnetic. When you speak from your why, people feel it. It resonates deeper than slogans, deeper than strategies. It reaches the heart. And people don't just buy what you do. They buy why you do it. They don't just join your team. They join your belief. They don't just support your work. They carry it forward because it becomes part of their identity, too. That is the power of leading with why. It transforms followers into believers and transactions into movements. Finding your why is not about inventing something impressive. It's about uncovering what's already within you, hidden beneath fear, expectation, and noise. It often reveals itself in your pain, in the moments that tested you, in the challenges that shaped your character. Think about the times in your life when you felt most alive, most aligned, most willing to suffer for something because it mattered so deeply. That's where your why lies. It's not about ego, it's about essence. It's not about what makes you stand out, it's about what makes you come alive. And when you live from that place, your work becomes more than a job. It becomes a calling. A calling gives you resilience when results are uncertain because you know this is what you were made to do. Most people skip this step. They start with what? They focus on what they want to achieve, what product they want to sell, what career they want to build. Or they start with how they will execute, how they will outcompete, how they will scale. But without why, the what and the how lose their power. They become mechanical, empty, unsustainable. Because results without meaning can't satisfy the human soul. And when your work lacks meaning, burnout is inevitable. You can only force yourself to grind for so long before your spirit rebels. But when your work is anchored in why, you don't have to force yourself. You're pulled. You're energized. You may get tired, but you don't quit because quitting would feel like betraying something sacred. That's the difference purpose makes. It turns discipline from a burden into devotion. Your why is not just for you. It's for others. It's the gift you bring to the world. When you lead with why, you invite others into something bigger than themselves. You give them a sense of belonging, of significance, of hope. You show them that what they do matters, that they matter. And that is what people crave more than anything. They don't want to just earn a paycheck. They want to make a difference. They want to feel that their efforts are part of a larger story. Leaders who start with why give people that story. They connect daily tasks to a transcendent purpose. They transform work from a chore into a mission. And when people feel they are on a mission, they rise. They give their best not because they have to, but because they want to. They become loyal not out of obligation, but out of belief. That is how cultures are built. That is how movements begin. Starting with why also clarifies what to say no to. One of the greatest causes of burnout is not doing too little, but doing too much of what doesn't matter. When you know your why, you can stop scattering your energy on things that look important but aren't. You can stop saying yes to opportunities that don't align just because they're impressive or profitable. You can let go of the pressure to please everyone because you realize you're not here to serve everyone. You're here to serve your cause. And that clarity is liberating. It gives you focus. It allows you to go deep instead of wide, to build something meaningful instead of everything superficial. Every no becomes an act of loyalty to your yes. Every boundary becomes an expression of purpose. And that focus multiplies your impact far more than business ever could. Leading with why doesn't mean the journey becomes easy. It means it becomes meaningful. It means you can endure the hard days because they serve something that matters. It means you can celebrate wins without being defined by them, and you can survive losses without being destroyed by them, because your identity is no longer tied to outcomes. It's tied to purpose. Results fluctuate. Purpose endures. Applause fades. Meaning remains. The world may not always reward you quickly, but if you stay faithful to your why, the reward will be deeper than anything the world could offer. It will be the quiet knowing that you lived true, that you did what you were called to do, that you didn't just achieve, you contributed. You didn't just succeed, you mattered. People often ask how to find their why. Start with reflection. Look at your story. What patterns emerge? What themes keep showing up and what fulfills you? What kind of impact lights you up? What kind of injustice breaks your heart? What do people thank you for that feels natural to you? Your why is usually hiding in what you think is ordinary about yourself. It's the thing you do instinctively, the thing you can't not do. It might not look impressive at first, but don't underestimate it. The most powerful whys are often quiet. They don't need to shout to change lives. They simply need to be lived consistently, courageously, unapologetically. And once you find it, guard it. The world will try to pull you away from your why. It will tempt you with shortcuts, distract you with trends, pressure you to conform. People may misunderstand your choices, doubt your path, criticize your pace, but you must stay anchored, because drifting from your why may win you quick rewards, but it will cost you your soul. Staying true to your why may delay rewards, but it will give you peace, and peace is priceless. Protect your why like your life depends on it, because the life you are meant to live does. The paradox is this: when you stop chasing success and start living from your why, success often comes anyway, but by then it won't own you. It won't define you. It will simply be a byproduct of serving your purpose well. And if success doesn't come, you will still have something far greater: fulfillment. Because you will know you spent your time and energy on something that mattered. And that knowledge will let you lay your head down at night with peace, regardless of what the world applauds. Start with why. Everything else flows from there. Your what becomes sharper. Your how becomes stronger. Your results become richer. Your relationships become deeper. Your legacy becomes lasting. And your life becomes whole. Because you are no longer running aimlessly, driven by pressure. You are walking with intention, guided by purpose. And that makes all the difference. Inspire. Don't manipulate people. Don't commit to products, titles, or tactics. They commit to belief. Stop trying to convince and start inspiring. Lead from a place of vision, not fear. Inspire trust, not pressure. When people feel safe, they unlock their greatness. The most powerful leaders don't demand loyalty. They earn it by believing in their people first. Inspiration is the quiet fire that can move mountains, while manipulation is the loud hammer that only chips at the surface. When we try to manipulate people through fear, urgency pressure, or rewards, we may get their short-term compliance, but we will never get their wholehearted commitment. They will do what is required only until the pressure lifts, and then they will stop. But when we inspire people, when we speak to their hearts instead of their fears, we awaken something deeper inside them. We awaken their sense of purpose, their innate desire to contribute to something meaningful. Their longing to be part of something greater than themselves. People don't wake up in the morning yearning to be manipulated. They wake up yearning to be part of a story that matters. And when they find a leader who can give them that, they will give their energy, their creativity, and their loyalty, not because they are forced to, but because they want to. Consider the way Simon Sinek explains this truth. He says people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. This is not just about business. It is about life, about leadership, about every human interaction. If you are trying to push someone toward a goal by dangling rewards or threatening consequences, you may move them, but you will never truly lead them. Leadership is not about power, it is about influence, and influence rooted in trust, not fear. People are not machines to be operated, they are souls to be inspired. When they believe in your vision, they will walk with you even when the path is uncertain. When they trust your heart, they will stand with you even when circumstances shake. The difference between inspiring and manipulating is often invisible to the outside world, but deeply felt by the people inside. Imagine two leaders both driving their teams toward the same ambitious target. One uses fear, missed deadlines bring public shame, failure brings punishment, and everyone is in a constant state of tension. They hit their numbers for a while, but morale withers, creativity suffocates, and turnover soars. The other leader begins by sharing a vision, by making sure everyone knows why their work matters, by showing each person how their contribution helps build something meaningful. There is still urgency, but it is born from excitement, not anxiety. When setbacks come, the team rallies instead of crumbling because they are driven by shared belief, not forced compliance. In the short term, both may succeed. In the long term, only the second one builds something that lasts. Inspiration creates emotional safety. It creates environments where people can take risks without fear of humiliation, where they can admit mistakes without fearing rejection, where they can speak new ideas without being crushed by cynicism. This safety is the soil from which innovation grows. People do not create their best work when they are afraid. They create their best work when they feel trusted, when they know they are supported, even if they stumble. Leaders who inspire understand that trust is not given by title. It is earned by consistent character. They show up. They listen. They care. They protect their people before protecting their own pride. This kind of leadership is rare because it demands courage. It is easier to demand than to nurture, easier to threaten than to encourage. But inspiration requires the discipline of empathy, and empathy is the foundation of trust. When people feel safe, they unlock their greatness. This is not poetic exaggeration. It is a human truth. Think of a child learning to walk. When the environment is safe, when the caregivers cheer instead of scold, the child tries again and again until they succeed. If they were mocked for falling, they would stop trying. Adults are no different. In workplaces, in communities, in families, people take emotional risks only when they feel protected. The strongest leaders are those who build that protection. They see their role not as commanders, but as guardians of potential. They understand that fear may push people to comply, but only love expressed through trust and belief, can call people to excel. The most powerful leaders don't demand loyalty. They earn it by believing in their people first. Loyalty is not a contract. It is a gift freely given by those who feel seen, valued, and respected. When you believe in someone, you are telling them, I see something in you that perhaps you do not yet see in yourself. This belief is transformative. It becomes a mirror in which they can glimpse their potential. And once they glimpse it, they will strive to grow into it. This is how leaders change lives, not by controlling behavior, but by awakening identity. When people know you believe in them, they rise to the level of your belief. When they know you trust them, they begin to trust themselves. This is why leaders who inspire create cultures of ownership. People who are inspired don't just complete tasks, they take responsibility. They bring ideas, they solve problems, they go beyond what is required because they feel personally connected to the mission. Manipulated people do only what they are told. Inspired people do what needs to be done, even if no one told them. This difference determines whether organizations become rigid or resilient, whether they survive or thrive. Manipulation produces compliance. Inspiration produces commitment. Compliance vanishes when supervision disappears. Commitment endures even in the leader's absence. Inspired people work not just for you, but with you and ultimately beyond you. To inspire, you must live your vision, not just speak it. Words alone do not inspire, integrity does. People watch what you do far more than they listen to what you say. If you preach trust but act out of fear, they will sense the dissonance. If you speak a vision but lie for ego, they will feel the hollowness. But if you lead with humility, if you admit your mistakes, if you serve your team's growth before your own glory, you will inspire. Inspiration is not charisma. It is consistency. It is doing what is right when it is hard. It is showing up when it would be easier to walk away. It is choosing people over pride, principle over popularity. People do not follow perfection. They follow authenticity. Inspiration also requires patience. Manipulation seeks instant results. It wants control now, change now, success now. But inspiration understands that people are not switches to be flipped, they are seeds to be cultivated. Seeds grow in seasons, not seconds. Leaders who inspire give their people space to learn, room to stumble, and time to bloom. They understand that slow growth is deep growth. They do not panic at early setbacks. They see them as part of the journey. They know that lasting change happens from the inside out, not the outside in. So they plant vision and water it with encouragement until it takes root in people's hearts. This is slow work, but it is sacred work. Imagine what would happen if more leaders chose inspiration over manipulation. Imagine workplaces filled with trust, classrooms filled with curiosity, homes filled with understanding. Imagine people waking up not with dread, but with drive, not with fear, but with faith. This is not Narvi idealism. It is practical wisdom. The human spirit is wired for meaning. When people have a why, they can bear any how. When they know they matter, they show up fully. When they are trusted, they become trustworthy. If we want to build teams, businesses, or communities that endure, we must stop trying to control people and start trying to inspire them. The choice is always before us: fear or faith, pressure or purpose, manipulation or inspiration. One leads to burnout, the other to breakthroughs. One drains life, the other gives it. One is about getting results from people, the other is about bringing out the best in people. The difference may seem subtle, but it defines everything. The leaders who change the world are not those who master control. They are those who master belief. They see what is possible in people before people see it in themselves. They light a fire that cannot be extinguished by fear because it was never lit by fear. It was lit by love, by vision, by belief. If you want to lead, begin by inspiring. Show people not just what to do, but why it matters. Treat them not as resources, but as human beings. Believe in them before they believe in themselves. Create spaces where it is safe to be human, to be imperfect, to be growing. Speak to their hearts, not just their minds. When you do this, you will see something extraordinary. People will rise. They will give more than you asked, go further than you imagined, and build something that will outlast you. And they will not do it because you pushed them. They will do it because you inspired them. Because in the end, leadership is not about moving people where you want them to go. It is about inspiring them to move where they were always capable of going and reminding them every step of the way that they are not walking alone. Play the infinite game. Life is not a race to the finish line. It's an infinite game. While others chase short-term wins, choose to build something that outlives you. Think beyond profit. Think legacy. True fulfillment comes when you plant seeds of growth in others, knowing you may never sit in the shade. Leaders who play the infinite game lead movements, not just moments. Life is not a race to the finish line. It is an infinite game. This is one of the most profound truths that Simon Sinek teaches, and yet it is also one of the hardest for people to grasp because the world around us is obsessed with winning. From the time we are children, we are taught to chase trophies, grades, medals, and titles. We are trained to compare ourselves to others, to measure our worth by whether we are ahead or behind. Every headline screams about the fastest growing company, the youngest billionaire, the record-breaking success. And so, without even realizing it, we begin to treat life as though it were a sprint, a competition to finish first, to accumulate the most, to prove ourselves. But life is not a sprint. It is not even a marathon with a clear finish line. It is an infinite game, and the rules of the infinite game are entirely different from the rules of a finite one. In a finite game, there are known players, fixed rules, and an agreed upon endpoint. Think of a soccer match or a chess game. You know when it starts and when it ends. You know who is on your team and who is not. You know how to keep score, and when the time runs out, someone wins and someone loses. But in the infinite game of life, there are no clear winners and no agreed upon endpoint. The players come and go, the rules can change, and the game continues long after we are gone. The goal is not to win. It is to keep playing, to keep contributing, to keep the game going and make it better for those who come after us. When you see life through this lens, everything changes. Success stops being about beating others and starts being about bettering yourself. Fulfillment stops being about reaching a destination and starts being about walking faithfully on a meaningful path. The danger of thinking life is a finite game is that it makes us obsessed with short-term wins. We start making decisions based on immediate rewards rather than enduring impact. We chase applause instead of legacy. We sacrifice relationships, integrity, and even our own health to hit the next target, earn the next promotion, or grab the next slice of attention. We become sprinters who burn out halfway through the race, wondering why our lives feel empty even when they look full. But those who play the infinite game think differently. They ask not, how can I win quickly? But how can I build something that outlives me? They do not measure their success by quarterly results, but by generational impact. They are less concerned with being remembered and more concerned with leaving something worth remembering. They plant seeds of growth in others, knowing they may never sit in the shade. That is what makes them powerful. They are not trying to finish the game. They are trying to make sure the game never ends. Playing the infinite game requires patience. In a finite mindset, you want quick results. You want to see the fruit immediately. But the infinite mindset knows that real growth takes time. The tallest trees start as tiny seeds buried in darkness. They must endure seasons of storm, drought, and cold before they reach the sky. Leaders who play the infinite game are willing to invest in people and visions that may not bear fruit for years or even in their own lifetimes. They mentor others who might one day surpass them. They build organizations that can thrive without their presence. They create systems that empower rather than control. This requires humility because the infinite player understands this is not about me. My life is a chapter, not the whole book. My role is to write my part with excellence and pass the pen to the next generation. That is the opposite of the ego-driven drive to be the hero of the whole story. Playing the infinite game also requires resilience. In a finite mindset, Failure is devastating because it feels final. If you lose the game, it's over. But in the infinite game, failure is just part of the journey. It is feedback, not defeat. It is a lesson, not a verdict. Infinite-minded leaders don't crumble when they fall because they know falling is how you learn to rise higher. They don't panic when plans fail because they are not tied to one outcome. They are tied to a vision that can survive detours. This resilience allows them to take risks that finite players would never dare. Finite players fear losing what they have. Infinite players are driven by what they can give. And because they are not obsessed with protecting their reputation or holding their position, they are free to innovate, to experiment, to evolve. This is why the infinite players are the ones who ultimately shape the future. While others are guarding their crowns, they are planting their forests. Another crucial truth is that the infinite game is about relationships more than achievements. In a finite game, people are often treated as tools, means to an end. But in the infinite game, people are the end. Relationships are not a strategy to achieve goals, they are the goal. This is why leaders who play the infinite game invest deeply in people. They build trust. They nurture cultures of safety where people can grow and thrive. They do not burn people out for profit because they know profit is temporary, but people are lasting. They measure their success by how many others they lift, not by how high they climb. They understand that when they build others, they build the future. Even if their name is forgotten, their impact will ripple on in the lives they touched. That is legacy. Legacy is not having your name etched on a building. Legacy is having your influence etched on hearts. Thinking beyond profit is central to this mindset. Profit is necessary. It keeps the game going, but it is not the purpose. If profit becomes the purpose, we become short-sighted. We cut corners. We exploit people. We sacrifice tomorrow for today. But if purpose is the priority, profit becomes sustainable. Companies led by infinite-minded leaders may not grow as explosively in the short term, but they endure. They survive economic storms. They adapt to changing markets. Why? Because they are not chasing quick wins, they are building long-term trust. And trust is the true currency of the infinite game. Trust cannot be bought or demanded. It must be earned through consistent integrity, empathy, and service. Trust is what makes people stay when things get hard. Trust is what makes teams endure when the spotlight fades. Leaders who play the infinite game know this: if you take care of the mission and the people, the money will follow. But if you chase the money, you may lose the mission, and without the mission, the game ends. True fulfillment comes not from what you accumulate, but from what you contribute. This is the great paradox of the infinite game. The more you give, the richer you become, not in possessions, but in purpose. There is a deep satisfaction in knowing you left something better than you found it. There is joy in watching others rise, even if they rise higher than you. There is peace in knowing your work will echo long after your name is forgotten. That is why the infinite player is not driven by competition, but by contribution. They are not trying to outshine others, they are trying to outserve them. They are not trying to be the best in the world, they are trying to be the best for the world. And because of this, their impact multiplies across generations. They become the roots of forests they will never see. Consider the difference between building a monument and planting a garden. A monument glorifies the builder. It is designed to last, but it is lifeless. It does not grow. It only stands until time erodes it. A garden, on the other hand, is alive. It requires ongoing care, but it multiplies. It produces seeds that spread far beyond the gardener's reach. Leaders who play the finite game build monuments to themselves. Leaders who play the infinite game plant gardens for others. The garden may not carry their name, but it carries their spirit. And long after the monument has crumbled, the garden keeps growing. This is the choice we all face. Will we spend our lives building monuments or planting gardens? Will we chase fame or build forests? This infinite mindset also changes how we see our own mortality. When you see life as a race, death feels like failure, like the game ended too soon. But when you see life as an infinite game, death becomes part of the handoff. You know your role was never to finish the game, only to keep it going. This frees you from the desperation to achieve everything before you die. It allows you to focus on significance over speed. It makes you more present because you are no longer trying to outrun time. You are trying to enrich it. And paradoxically, when you stop trying to squeeze everything into your life becomes fuller. Because the weight of legacy is not carried in what you did for yourself, but in what you did for others. Leaders who play the infinite game lead movements, not just moments. Moments fade, but movements endure. Moments impress people, movements transform them. A moment may change a mood, but a movement changes a culture. And movements are built on ideas bigger than any one person, ideas rooted in values, in purpose, in vision. If your work depends on your presence to survive, it is a moment. If it can thrive without you, it is a movement. Infinite-minded leaders are always asking, will this matter in 10 years? Will this still stand if I'm not here to hold it up? They design their organizations, their teams, and even their families to be self-sustaining, to carry on the mission without them. They do not fear being replaced, they hope to be. Because their goal is not to be indispensable. Their goal is to be instrumental, to be the spark, not the whole fire. This mindset is not just for CEOs or world leaders. It is for all of us. Each of us plays an infinite game in our own sphere, in our families, our friendships, our communities, our crafts. Every time we choose to serve rather than compete, to build rather than boast, to mentor rather than manipulate, we are playing the infinite game. Every time we choose to act from love instead of fear, from vision instead of vanity, we are strengthening the game for those who come after us. And the beautiful thing is this, the infinite game, gives back. The more you give to it, the more it gives to you. Not in trophies, but in meaning. Not in applause, but in peace. Not in fame, but in fulfillment. So ask yourself, am I chasing short-term wins or building lasting impact? Am I sprinting to the finish line or walking faithfully on a meaningful path? Am I building monuments or planting gardens? Am I trying to win the game, or am I trying to make sure the game goes on long after I am gone? The answers to these questions will shape not only your future, but the future of everyone you touch. Because when you play the infinite game, your life stops being just about your life. It becomes part of something vast and enduring. It becomes part of the story of humanity, a story that began long before you and will continue long after. And if you play it well, your chapter will make the whole story richer, deeper, and more beautiful. That is the true victory of the infinite game. Not to win it, but to pass it on stronger than you found it. Closing, the world doesn't need more people chasing glory. It needs more people brave enough to live with purpose. Be that person. Stand for something. Inspire someone. Lead with your why, and watch the world change because you dared to start ChatGPT, said the world doesn't need more people chasing glory. It needs more people brave enough to live with purpose. Be that person. Stand for something. Inspire someone. Lead with your why, and watch the world change because you dared to start. This single idea might sound simple, almost too simple, in a world that glorifies noise, speed, and fame, but simplicity is often where the deepest truths are found. Glory is temporary. Purpose is eternal. Glory fades when the applause stops. Purpose endures even when no one is watching. Glory depends on recognition. Purpose depends on conviction. Glory asks, will they remember me? Purpose asks, will they be better because I lived? That question is the one that matters. Because when you dare to live with purpose, you stop needing to prove yourself to the world, and you start offering yourself to it. Living with purpose does not mean having all the answers or mapping out every detail of your future. It means being willing to start from where you are, with what you have, and aiming your life towards something meaningful. It means choosing significance over approval, substance over image, contribution over competition. This is what Simon Sinek has spent years teaching, that when you lead with your why, your deep reason for being, you ignite something powerful not only in yourself, but in everyone around you. Your purpose becomes a beacon. It cuts through the fog of fear and confusion, reminding people that they are capable of more than just existing. It invites them to become part of something bigger than themselves. That is what the world is starving for. Not more celebrities, not more noise, not more people sprinting toward personal empires, but more people anchored in purpose, people who make others feel safe, seen, and inspired to grow. To live with purpose requires courage because it means walking a path that is often invisible at first. When you chase glory, the path is usually marked. Follow the trend. Do what everyone praises. Stay inside the lines. But purpose rarely follows a straight line. It pulls you into uncertainty. It asks you to take steps before you can see the ground. It asks you to keep going even when the world doubts you, even when there is no applause, even when results are slow. And yet, this is where transformation begins. When you move with purpose, you are no longer fueled by fear of failure. You are fueled by faith in what could be. You stop being paralyzed by obstacles because your eyes are fixed on something bigger than them. Obstacles become part of the path instead of signs to turn back. Purpose gives you endurance because it gives meaning to the struggle. Glory may give you a burst of adrenaline, but purpose gives you the stamina to keep running when the adrenaline is gone. Purpose also frees you from comparison. Chasing glory traps you in constant measurement. Who's ahead? Who's behind? Who's watching? Who's winning? But when you live with purpose, you are no longer in competition with anyone. You understand that your path is yours alone, and someone else's success does not diminish yours. You stop seeing others as rivals and start seeing them as fellow travelers. This shift changes everything. It quiets the noise in your mind. It allows you to celebrate others without resenting them. It gives you the peace to focus on what truly matters, becoming who you were meant to be, not who you think you need to be to impress the world. Purpose is not about being the best. It is about being true. And when you live true, you free others to do the same. That is the power of authenticity. It gives permission. It creates space for others to lay down their masks and pick up their dreams. Leading with your why does not require a stage or a title. It requires presence. It requires showing up fully where you are and choosing to make a difference, however small, every day. Purpose is lived in the ordinary moments. The way you treat the person who serves your coffee, the way you listen to someone who is hurting, the way you keep your word when no one is watching. These small acts ripple outward. They shape the culture around you. They teach people what it feels like to be valued, and that feeling awakens something powerful in them. Most people do not remember grand speeches or dramatic achievements. They remember how someone made them feel safe, seen, believed in. That is what purpose does. It touches hearts quietly, and those hearts carry it forward. When you live with purpose, you may not always see the results, but they are there, multiplying in ways you cannot measure. You plant seeds that may bloom long after you are gone, and that is the kind of legacy that matters. It is tempting to think that living with purpose is for special people, for visionaries, leaders, or heroes. But purpose is not reserved for a chosen few. It is the birthright of every human being. You do not need permission to live with purpose. You only need willingness. Willingness to ask deeper questions. Willingness to slow down and listen to what matters most to you. Willingness to stop chasing what looks impressive and start pursuing what feels meaningful. This is not about waiting for the perfect opportunity. It is about bringing purpose to the opportunity you have right now. Purpose is not something you find at the mountaintop after years of struggle. It is something you choose at the starting line. It grows as you walk. It clarifies as you serve. The only way to discover your purpose is to live with intention, to take imperfect steps in the direction of what matters, and to keep moving even when the path is unclear. Purpose-driven people change the world not because they are louder or faster, but because they are unwavering. They become anchors in a drifting culture. While others are tossed around by trends, they stand firm in their values. While others are chasing the spotlight, they are building quietly in the shadows. While others are obsessed with being seen, they are obsessed with seeing others. And paradoxically, it is these people, those who were never chasing glory, who often create the greatest impact. Because they are not performing for applause, their work carries authenticity. Because they are not racing for personal crowns, they create space for others to rise. Because they are not trying to outshine others, they light the way for others. The world desperately needs this kind of steady light. Light that does not flicker when the applause stops. Light that keeps burning through the storms. That is what purpose makes of a person. It makes them unshakable. Living with purpose is not just about what you do. It is about who you become while doing it. Glory will tempt you to cut corners, to sacrifice your character for recognition, to burn out chasing approval. Purpose calls you to patience, to integrity, to building slowly but deeply. It teaches you to value process over performance, depth over display, roots over reach. It shifts your question from how fast can I get there to how true can I be along the way. This shift changes how you handle success. When glory is your goal, success can make you arrogant. When purpose is your goal, success makes you grateful. Gratitude keeps you grounded. It reminds you that your achievements are not just for you, they are tools to serve others, platforms to lift others. When purpose drives your success becomes bigger than you. It becomes a resource for building, not just a reward for winning. Purpose also changes how you handle failure. When glory is your goal, failure feels fatal. It feels like the end. But when purpose is your anchor, failure becomes fuel. It becomes information. It becomes part of the process rather than the end of it. You can stumble without losing your identity because your identity is rooted in why you do what you do, not in whether you succeed every time. This resilience is what keeps purpose-driven people going when others quit. They are not trying to prove their worth, they are trying to fulfill their mission. And missions survive setbacks. Purpose gives you the strength to rise again and again, not because you are unafraid, but because what you are building matters more than your fear. That is the kind of determination the world needs, not the determination to be the best, but the determination to stay true. When you choose to live with purpose, you become part of something far bigger than yourself. You join the quiet lineage of people throughout history who built the world not by chasing glory, but by serving faithfully. Most of them are unnamed, but their fingerprints are everywhere, in the systems we rely on, the communities we cherish, the freedoms we enjoy. They were teachers who believed in students no one else saw, mentors who guided future leaders, parents who loved relentlessly, visionaries who planted seeds of change knowing they might never see the harvest. They are proof that you do not need to be famous to be unforgettable. You only need to be faithful. The world may not sing your name, but it will feel your impact. And if you live with purpose, that impact will ripple far beyond your lifetime. So choose purpose. Choose to stand for something even when it is hard. Choose to lead with your why even when it costs you comfort. Choose to inspire someone even if it means going unnoticed yourself. Choose to build what lasts instead of chasing what fades. Because the truth is, glory will pass, but purpose will echo. And one day, when you look back on your life, you will not care how loud the applause was. You will care how deep your contribution went. You will care about the lives you touched, the people you lifted, the love you gave, and the difference you made. That is the only kind of success that matters in the end. The world is waiting, not for someone to impress it, but for someone to ignite it. Be that person. Be the one who dares to start, even if no one else understands at first. Be the one who walks in purpose when others run after glory. Be the one who plants seeds of hope, who speaks words of life, who stands unshaken in your values. Be the one who reminds people what matters. Because when you live this way, something extraordinary happens. You stop just moving through the world and you start moving the world. And the world will be changed, not because you won glory, but because you lived with purpose